Rosie Paints with Ghosts, written and illustrated by Cassie Daley. How are you today, my friends? How are you today? I hope that you're okay, my friends. Oh, deep in my heart, I want to say, I hope that you're okay today. Oh, deep in my heart, I want to say, I hope that you're okay today. And I do. Hi, Mr. Greg here. And that was Baby Sue. Did you see Baby Sue? Baby Sue is one of the cats that lives in the house. She's been here quite a while. You might meet some of the other animals who live in the house along the way too. I wanted to read a story with you today. And it's a story called Rosie Paints with Ghosts. And can you see on the cover there? There's so much color set on a background of black. That's sometimes a really fun way to make colors pop out. So you have a very black background, and then there's almost like a bumpy island of white. And in the middle, we see Rosie Paints with Ghosts. And there are splashes of color all around, and two young people. There's a young person here with pink hair and pink eyes, and there's a young person here with green hair and two poofs of green and purple eyes with large glasses. Yeah, I wonder which one Rosie is. I'm not entirely sure. I will tell you, however, that Cassie Daley is a writer and a very cool person. In fact, when I open up the book, you'll see that there's not much of a splash page, right? You remember that first part of the book. In fact, right on the inside of the front cover and back cover are the splash pages. Cassie chose to just use white, but you'll see here on the title page, Rosie Paints with Ghosts. Oh my goodness, look up here. From Mr. Greg. And there's a little ghost, and it says, Rosie, can't wait to meet you, Cassie. Cassie signed my book. It's so fun when people sign the books. Who are the authors? And Cassie has a dedication. It's for Casey. Now, this book is set up like a comic book or a graphic novel, and I've figured out that Cassie is telling us to read the words. Any words that are in a black bubble with white letters, we're going to read first. So let's start. Rosie was a little girl with a big list of favorite things. Let's see her favorite things. She loved reading, and under that we have a really flowery, curvy image that shows Rosie's hand reaching for books. She loved plants. Here we see Rosie's hand watering plants. And she loved to paint. And here we see Rosie painting pink on a piece of paper, on an easel. Ooh, and here is the entirety of Rosie's room, and we can see now that Rosie is the young person with pink hair and pink eyes. The list of things Rosie didn't love was much shorter. Rosie did not love bedtime. It's a very short list. And we see from the door a speech bubble, and somebody is yelling in, "Time for bed, Rosie." Could be one of her parents or caregivers or an older sibling. And we see the entirety of Cassie's room with her plants and all of her paintings and her easel. And she's sitting at a table with a blank piece of paper, a jar of water, pens, pencils, brushes, and watercolors. So Rosie has to go to bed, but she really would like to paint. Well, this is a fun page. Cassie has given us 3 panels from top to bottom. I'll read the words first, and then we'll talk about what's in the pictures. Sometimes, very late at night, Rosie could hear music coming from beneath her bed. And we can see Rosie's face staring under the bed, and she looks a little afraid, but then there are musical notes. Rosie felt afraid, but she was also very curious. Where could it be coming from? And we see Rosie from behind looking under the bed, still with the music emanating or coming out from under the bed in lines. Summoning up every bit of bravery she had, Rosie crawled under the bed to investigate. And we see Rosie, who has bunny slippers on, crawling under the bed. As she crawled, Rosie gathered a few things scattered along the way. First, her favorite paintbrush. We see her hand grabbing a paintbrush. Her comfiest smock, so she can wear it over her clothes and keep her clothes clean even as she paints. And her trusty paint palette. That's the large piece of wood or hard surface on which Rosie puts her paints, her pinks, her oranges, her yellows, greens, blues, purples, and can mix her paints easily and put them on paper. Rosie followed the glowing light until she found a small door, just big enough for her to fit through. We can see the music's coming through the door as well. And in the middle, there's a tiny black door with a doorknob. And in the next panel, we see just Rosie's hand reaching for the doorknob. She twisted the knob, crawling through to a bedroom identical to the one Rosie just left. Well, almost. The only color in the entire room is Rosie's pink hair and her purple pajamas as she crawls from under the bed. And we see a bedroom that looks almost exactly like Rosie's, except it's flipped the other way, yeah? In Rosie's room, the books were over here on, well, it would be my left side, and I wonder what side that would be for you. It's hard to tell. But in the other room, the books have flipped to the other side. And you'll notice all of the colors in this bedroom, identical to Rosie's otherwise, are either white or black or gray. Rosie looked at the room. It was both familiar but new at the same time. We have the same splotch that shows the books. And instead of a splotch that shows plants, down here we have a splotch that shows a radio playing music. Rosie had an idea. We see Rosie's arm, which is more peach colored, reaching up with her colorful brush. Rosie dipped her brush into her paint and swiped it across the canvas in the black and white room. As she watched, the color began to spread and spread and spread and spread. It's as if magic. Rosie didn't need to paint every single thing in the room. Just by starting to paint, we see in each image more and more color until the entire room is mostly colored. Rosie followed the color through the house, watching it transform before her eyes. So we see Rosie leaving the room and walking down the hallway and down a set of steps. She's following the spreading color. She followed the sound and smell of cooking food to the kitchen. But when she looked inside, Rosie saw a ghost, and he looked just as surprised to see her. So up here we have an image of a ghostly father, and he's holding an egg in his hand, and the color's starting to run into there. And then in the next picture, all of the color has gone into the room, and the dad has dropped the egg on the floor, showing how surprised he is. Well, terrified, Rosie ran back up the stairs and into the bedroom. She dove under the bed, crawling towards the hidden door that led to her home. We see the image of Rosie running back up the steps with the ghost dad looking up. We see Rosie running back down the hall and jumping under the bed. When Rosie saw the door, she began to cry. Can you see that from the inside? The door was right where she left it, but it had no handle. Try as she might, without a doorknob to twist, Rosie couldn't get it open. But how would she get home? And we see a speech bubble way at the bottom saying, hello? What are you doing under my bed? Rosie always felt nervous making new friends, but she knew she had to stay brave. We can see poking under the bed, there's another young person, all in black and white, but wearing glasses. That must be from when we looked at the front cover, the other young person from Rosie Paints with Ghosts. This is pre-color. And we see Rosie saying, I'm Rosie, it's nice to meet you. And then we see the ghostly young person standing here. The ghost looked around their bedroom, a huge smile spreading across their face at the sight of so much color. Oh, they were excited to see color. I'm Philomena. You can call me Phil. And we see at the top panel Rosie's hand, her peach-colored hand coming in, and Philomena's, it's almost like a grayish-brownish colored hand, and they shake hands. Phil explained that the doorknobs were taken away before they had come to Tomb. That must be the name of the town. The mayor of Tomb says it's safer for us this way. Curiously, Phil reached out and touched the wet paint on the easel. With a gasp, they turned to Rosie. Look, I'm colorful now too. And we can see that Phil is starting to take on color of their own. Rosie was excited for her new friend, but she was still worried about getting home. Maybe they can help me get home. Sure, Phil was very excited. Let's go. The new friends raced down the stairs, same ones that Rosie had just come down, except now everything's in color, barely pausing to say goodbye to Phil's dad. Bye! Psh! Another thing fell on the floor. My other egg! The human keeps scaring the ghost. Outside, the rest of Tomb remained colorless. We can see all of these houses with white roofs, and the fences are white and gray, and everything is black and white and gray, except for Phil and Rosie. When Phil's color filled all the way in, we can see that Phil's skin color is brownish, and Phil has purple eyes and green hair with poofs. They have 2 teeth, and Rosie has a full set, maybe 3 or 4 teeth in the front. So here we see that they had a lot of work to do. And we see various Rosie peach-colored hands and Phil brownish-colored hands painting in yellows and blues and greens all around the town. All around the town. And here's a very large image of the town now. That color is spreading. Again, it's like magic. With each brush stroke, the world got a bit brighter. Eyes watched from the shadows whilst Rosie and Phil painted color back into the town of Tomb. And we can see in the background very shiny eyes. They almost look menacing or scary. But I wonder if they're going to actually be scary. It seems like they might not be. As they worked, they started to attract attention from other ghosts in the neighborhood. Phil held out their paintbrush. "Do you want to try?" We see a young person on a tricycle, and it looks like that person does want to try. More kids gathered around, eager for their turn, and all of the kids who are still in black and white without brighter colors are asking, "Can we try? Does it hurt?" "Not at all." That was Phil. They were telling everybody it doesn't hurt. So one by one, Rosie and Phil spread color to the waiting ghosts. And they didn't stop there. We see various pictures of ghosts taking on colors of their own. Oh, we have another fun 3-panel page here. I like these 3-panel pages. So in the top panel, all of the children are colorful, but all of the streets and the sidewalks and the houses remain colorless, or black and white and gray, because those are colors. Working together, Rosie and the other kids painted the town. Soon the neighborhood sparkled with vibrant color, and in the middle panel, the splotches of paint are starting to spread, and at the bottom, all of the houses and bushes have color. And we see a speech bubble with big capital uppercase letters and an exclamation point. "Stop this!" Unfortunately, not everybody liked the new changes. It looks like what appears to be perhaps a parent, all in blacks, whites, and grays. "How dare you? How dare you do this to my son without permission? I'm going to tell the mayor about this." "Oh no," Phil cried. "What if the mayor doesn't like it either?" We have a little bit of worry happening now. Phil told Rosie about the mayor of Tomb, who liked everything to stay the same. The mayor liked her food to always be the same. Looks like she always has steak and eggs and beans. And her routines, we see in her alarm clock, it looks like the mayor always wakes up at the same time. And her schedule, the mayor thinks it's very important to follow the same schedule and that it doesn't change. And even her clothes. They're not all the same clothes, but they're all very similar, and they're laid out in a very specific order. Everything is very important to the mayor. I understand that, because there are routines that are very important to me as well. And if part of my routine was that my life had a very similar color frame. By the way, did you notice? I am feeling very colorful today, and it's a little bit cooler. It's September. So I wore this really fun sweater from Seven Springs, which is in Pennsylvania. This sweater is, I think, from the 1980s. And Miss Jen never wore it. Somebody bought it for Miss Jen. But it has a stream and a bridge and trees. And some of the trees are changing colors from oranges and yellows. And it's very textured and bumpy and busy. Look, even the back has fun paintings, and the sleeves have there's a deer just sort of standing there on the one sleeve and a deer on the other sleeve. I would be very excited for Rosie and Phil to paint me in, but I understand if the mayor thinks it's very important for things to be structured. I wonder how this is going to work out. By the way, did you also notice that Phil introduced themselves as they? Or at least the narrator did. Yeah, so what we've learned is that Phil's pronouns are they and them. They are Phil. I like them. And then Rosie was saying that her pronouns are her and she. My pronouns are he and him. Mr. Greg. He is Mr. Greg. This is his book. Yeah? What are your pronouns? Oh, yeah. There are a lot of options. There's another cat, Willow. Willow's pronouns, we believe, are she and her. She may show up. Maybe I'll grab her. But she doesn't like to be picked up all the time, so I want to respect that boundary. We should get back to the book, right? Let's get back to the book. All right. Oh, so now we're in front of the Town of Tombs City Hall, and the outside of the building is colored. I'm a bit worried. We'll just try to explain, said Rosie bravely, approaching City Hall. The town receptionist greeted Rosie and Phil excitedly. Oh, that's nice. So it's true. You've brought the color back to Tomb. The mayor is waiting for you. But before you go, can I ask a favor? Oh, can you see what's happening? So the receptionist in the top is in muted colors, blacks and whites. And in the bottom, we can see her skin tone is a very dark brown, and her hair becomes auburn or rust, kind of orangish brown. And all of that color has bled or spread into the receptionist. And what the receptionist wanted was a paintbrush. She's very happy, and she's painting the entire office. Smiling warmly, the receptionist asked for her own paintbrush. Rosie was more than happy to help her. I almost said was more than helpy to have her. That's a funny misspoken word. Oh, here's the mayor. The mayor looks very stern, very serious. Not necessarily mean or intimidating, but certainly stern. Inside the office, the duo felt their bravery waver. The mayor sat waiting for them, a stern, there's that word, look on her face, with her arms crossed. I never see people sit like that. We're sorry. The doorknob is gone, and we were just trying to get Rosie back. They're trying to explain themselves. It's a very close-up. I think it's also fun how we can tell that Phil is a ghost because around Phil and all of the ghosts, there's an aura or an extra color. So Phil's hair is kind of green. I'm not sure how you see colors, so I'm going to describe them the way my eyes see the colors. Okay? Everybody's eyes see colors a little bit differently. So if you're seeing something that isn't green, you can let me know. You can scream it out right at the screen. But I'm seeing green, and then the light around her is blue. You see, Rosie doesn't have any light around her because Rosie's a human, not a ghost. Rosie gave up trying to explain and decided to show the mayor. So Rosie's just going to go ahead and start to paint the mayor's things. And of course, you know what's going to happen. The mayor screams, "No! I will not allow this in Tomb." But that color is starting to spread up to the mayor. I don't know if Rosie should have made that decision. She didn't ask, but we'll see what happens. As the mayor yelled, the color started to fade from the room. Oh, so the mayor's yelling is taking the color away. I understand. Rosie knew that if she didn't do something soon, she'd have no color left. So now Rosie has to think. What is Rosie going to do to help the situation? She tried to think of a way to help the mayor see that not all change had to be bad. Some change can be relied on, like the sky during certain weather or times of day. And we see Rosie painting a splotch. There's white clouds and a blue sky. So we know that's a time of day. And then we have dark purple sky with a gray cloud and it's dropping rain. And that's a different type of change depending on the weather. And then there's a beautiful painting on the other far side of the splotch of a black sky with yellow stars. And not just the sky either, Phil added. And Phil painted a splotch which had leaves from a tree in the fall that had, oh, look. Oh, did you almost see her? Here, I'm going to move the camera slightly so you can see. There's Willow. Hello, Willow. Hi. Willow must see a bird. We'll move this back to our spot. There we go. So Phil painted all of these leaves that had changed from green to browns and yellows and reds and oranges. And the mayor was still nervous. But what about when the change isn't good? Well, that can happen even without color. Bad stuff might happen, but good stuff will happen too. She gave it some thought, the mayor, and then she smiled. Oh my goodness. Okay, said the mayor, let's do it. Well, that's a very fast, that was very wonderful of her to or not that it was wonderful of her, but she really understood what Phil and Rosie were saying, which I think is very cool. Oh, wait. Before I forget, you'll need this to get back home. And guess what the mayor gave Rosie? Can you remember what the mayor gave Rosie? There was one thing that was missing when Rosie ran back in Phil's room to get to the door. Do you remember what was missing? Yeah, it was the doorknob. The mayor has given her back, or given her a doorknob. So she's opening up the doors between Tomb and Rosie's world. A large crowd of townsfolk gathered outside to hear from the mayor. And the mayor is standing in front of a very colorful town hall, and all of these colors of the rainbow are exploding into the sky. I know that this is new and scary, but I think this will be good for us. Would anyone else like to try? Although nervous at first, one by one, all of the remaining ghosts lined up in front of their mayor. Soon every ghost in Tomb was in full color. Hey, Baby Sue. Baby Sue would be more of, although she has whites and blacks and grays, and if this were Tomb, I'd be coloring all around her, and the chair would be turning red. Isn't that right, Baby Sue? After all the excitement, the people of Tomb returned to their homes to rest. Rosie realized she was also very, very sleepy. It was way past her bedtime. She thanked the mayor, and she said goodbye to the ghostly town of Tomb, now colorful. Before going home, Rosie stopped to introduce herself to Phil's dad, this time not scaring him. Oh no, the duo startled him for the third time. Oh my! Sorry, Dad. Maybe by the third time he won't be afraid of the human. Oh, wait. Here he goes. Any friend of Phil's is a friend of mine. Come back anytime, Rosie. Oh, that's sweet. And then we see Phil and Rosie walking back up into Phil's room. And they're waving goodbye to each other. And here they're hugging each other. And here we see Rosie going back under the bed and using the doorknob. Upstairs, the duo said their goodbyes, promising to visit again soon. Crawling under the bed, Rosie was happy to find the mayor's doorknob worked perfectly. Back in Rosie's own room, everything was the same way it had always been, except for one thing. We can see Rosie's looking out of the door, and whoever the parent or caregiver or sibling who told her to go to bed is sleeping, and we can tell because they put Z's. People use Z's for snoring. So these Z's would sound like this, maybe. I don't know why we use Z's, because you really should say zzz, zzz, but that's not how people snore. Anyway, the one thing that was different, we see this beautiful final panel set in purple with Rosie's pink hair, and she's smiling, and the music is drifting by her head. The noise is coming from under Rosie's bed. Didn't scare her anymore. And I'm going to show you a picture of the author and illustrator, Cassie Daley, because Cassie's hair is always so colorful as well, and she always wears very bright lipstick and makeup and is a very, very, very colorful person. So it makes all the sense in the world that Cassie would make this beautiful book about change and about how some people do think it's very important to keep things predictable. This beautiful book about two friends from different worlds meeting. Yeah, it was just a really lovely book, yeah. And in time for Halloween, which is coming up. I like Halloween. Do you like Halloween? Some people don't like Halloween. Either way, this is a very sweet book. It was wonderful to hang out with you. And I look forward to seeing you again very, very